Hey everybody, welcome. This is Nathan from the Oregon Brewery Running Series, and this is the Oregon Brewery Running Series, get this, show. I think that is the official title of these chat conversations. I'm here at Lompoc Brewing. This is the sidebar, right?
Yep, sidebar.
The 5Q, the fifth quadrant, is right next door. That's where it's all made. With Jerry Fechter here, the owner, founder. Do you still do brewing? Are you involved in that
not
part
really.
of it?
I'd love to say I do all the brewing, but somebody else does it, and he's in earshot right now.
All right, so he's right over there.
Yeah.
So he's not the brewer. Owner, founder. So far, really cool guy.
Head beer drinker.
Head beer drinker. We're going to be sampling some in a second.
Yep.
And we're here in North Portland, just off of Williams Avenue right there. Pretty cool, up-and-coming neighborhood. I don't know if it's up-and-coming. It's kind of here,
it's
right?
It's slowly growing.
Yeah.
I think it's here.
Okay.
I would say it's been here for 11 years because that's how long we've been here.
Exactly.
But it's slowly getting there.
Okay.
It's changed a lot in the last, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. So before we get to know you and Lompoc a little bit more, I want to know what this is.
So we are drinking Lompocer, which is our new Hoppy Kolsch.
The Hoppy Kolsch, right.
So the name basically comes from kind of an old German tradition. You add to the end of a city, and that connotates that you're from that area or region.
All right.
So like a Dortmunder lager, which is kind of a famous beer style, or a Münchener. So we have a Lompocer, which would mean basically from or near Lompoc.
Okay.
And it's our new Hoppy Kolsch, kind of a light German style. It's a little more bitter than your traditional Kolsch, which is kind of the way we like it, or at least the way I like it.
A little more bitter, yeah.
And it's super refreshing.
All right.
So
well, cheers.
Have a little taste.
Thank you. That is refreshing.
Yeah. It's
I
only
like
about
that.
5%.
Okay.
Smells a little malty.
It's
doesn't smell
middle
any. You really don't get any aroma hops. And there's just a slight bitter finish at the end.
That's good.
And it just makes you want to drink some more.
Yeah, it really does. Well, I'll have to pace myself. If I start slurring my words during this,
I understand slur.
Yeah,
I can speak it as well.
I'd appreciate. I'd imagine.
Bilingual.
I'd imagine, yeah.
Right here, bilingual.
Is that like a beer language?
Sometimes. Depends on where you are.
Okay.
But
Maybe
here in Lompoc,
we'd
be speaking Lompocer or something like that. I don't know.
Lompocese, perhaps. So you guys have been around for a while. 21 years, is that?
20 years, basically.
20 years. Okay.
This fall it'll be 21.
Okay.
Brewing.
Right,
Yep.
right. And you have, is it 5 locations?
Kind of. We kind of count Sidebar and 5Q
Okay.
as 2 separate locations,
Okay.
but they're 2 totally separate bars. I mean,
Right.
you were just in 5Q. It's kind of more of a restaurant. Sidebar is kind of a neat barrel room.
This is cool. You can't see it in the video, but you've got this great portrait over the fireplace. What is that? A goat or a mountain
Animal
ram?
heads.
Animal heads around here. Some timber stuff. A really cool bar.
And then most of the beers we serve in here are a lot of our specialty beers. So a lot of barrel-aged beers, whether it be like port, bourbon, or wine barrels. A lot of our sours, a lot of our Brett beers. So not stuff that we normally serve at all the pubs. So this is kind of our fancy tasting room. Yeah, specialty room.
And you can kind of see it right here. What's going on in here right now? There's boxes and
there's boxes everywhere.
Barrels and racks of food.
Yep. And we're bottling today back in the brewery, which means we kind of got to clear everything out. So the boxes just to your left are some 22-ounce bottles of C-Note, which is probably it's not really our flagship anymore, but it's probably what we're known most for over the last 20 years or so.
Bottled on April 2nd, or no, April 20th.
April 20th, that's today, yeah. Cool. So that's what's going on back there. So there's we only have so much room. So
yeah, and it's great. It's great. And you've got, let's see, the Oaks Bottom down in Selwood.
Yep.
That's a restaurant.
Yep.
Kind of full deal.
Yep, just expanded it at Oaks Bottom.
Okay. And then I just realized, so the Hedge House.
Yep.
I live within walking distance of there. That's more of like a tap room kind of a...
It is like a teeny little restaurant. Yeah. I mean, it's an old house. It has a huge beer garden outside. It's probably one of my favorite spots.
Really? Okay. Why is that?
Well, because it's just a neat old house that has a really cool outdoor patio.
Okay.
It kind of has a heated patio for the winter.
Sure.
And it's on Division. And
Right.
when we first opened over there about 15 years ago, there was only us and 1 or 2 other restaurants, and about 12 mechanic shops,
right.
all on Division.
Pretty sketchy.
Exactly. So Division has really changed, kind of a lot like Williams. A ton of new apartments, a ton of new restaurants, and the Hedge House is just kind of there. It sits way back off the street, so it's kind of like a little neighborhood gem. If you don't really know about it, you don't go in, and then a lot of people are like, what goes on back there in that house? And there's a menu down by the street, but
it's small. It's almost like a speakeasy.
Exactly.
You're not
The
quite
regulars,
sure what's there.
the regulars and neighborhood people really, really like it.
Yeah, that's cool. Are you from Portland originally?
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
I'm a Yinzer.
A Yinzer.
A Yinzer. That's a
Western
Pennsylvania
That's what they're called.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yinzers, yep.
How long have you been in Portland?
89.
89, okay.
89.
So you've seen the growth and...
Seen it all, yeah.
Are you pro-growth, or are you one of those keep Portland weird,
Portland hasn't been weird in about 10 or 15 years. Maybe 10 years or so.
All right.
Kind of into the
enough.
growth, and I still like it, but it's really changed a lot.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to sound like grumpy old guy, but I'm grumpy old guy. I kind of like the way it was a few years ago, but everything changes.
Sure.
And you just kind of got to change with it.
Yeah.
So at Lompoc, we're trying to change.
You are.
And,
well, I'm wondering if you can go back to the beginning. I think it was the early mid-'90s when Lompoc was born. What was kind of that story? What's that story like? How were you guys born? How did you come to be? And maybe the abridged version of how do you have 4 or 5 locations
I'll try to do
now?
it as quick as I can without reading the whole novel.
That's all right. I got some beer to enjoy.
So there was a bar back in the 50s and 60s called the Old Lompoc. Actually, the Old Lompoc House. And a guy I worked for when I first moved out here walked into this retail space on Northwest 23rd and just said, this dive reminds me of this bar I used to go to called the Old Lompoc.
Okay.
So that's where the name comes from. So that was in 1992.
Wow.
So he opened it as just a little tavern, beer, wine. And in the next 2 or 3 years after 92, he was just like, hey, I find out about this brewing beer. I think we'd like to brew some beer.
Might be
a
new thing, a new trend.
Bingo. So figured out how to make beer, went to beer school.
Yeah, in Chicago, right?
In Chicago,
Okay.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah. And basically we started building the brewery, I think, in late 1995.
Okay.
We brewed our first couple batches of beer in about September, October of 1996.
Okay.
Kept doing that. Those guys owned about 3 or 4 other bars at the time, so we sold beer there on 23rd and then distributed to 3 or 4 other bars they owned. And then around 1999, they weren't really into kind of doing a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do or I thought we should do.
From a beer perspective?
From a beer perspective.
Sure.
We were just kind of making the same 3 or 4 beers and one seasonal. And long story short, we were playing golf, and I said, hey, can I buy the brewery?
Okay.
And by the end of the golf round, we'd all kind of agreed on a number and
terms?
a price. And it was just kind of right guy, right spot, right time. And so I spent about a year trying to figure out, well, not a year, maybe 6, 8 months.
Okay.
Do I want to do it myself? Do I want to do it with a partner? And as it turned out, a guy kind of sought me out, and we talked for about 2 months about partnering up, and his name was Don Younger.
Yeah.
And Don owned the Horse Brass.
Yeah.
There's I don't know if it's in the picture, but there's a great little picture of Don.
Not quite, but yeah. That's Don, okay.
So yeah, there's a picture of Don, and so we became partners. And he just kind of let me do whatever I kind of wanted to do.
That's pretty cool.
And he stayed on his side of the river, and I stayed on my side of the river.
You had your own like mafia boss.
Exactly.
Territory.
So and the deal over there on 23rd was it was always going to get torn down. Like we never really had more than about a 2 or 3 year lease.
Okay.
So we're like, okay, we kind of need another location. And I think somewhere around 02 or the early 03, we got like another 2 or 3 year lease extension. So it's like, well, let's find another bar.
Sure.
And then we'll figure out, like, do we need to build another brewery or not? So we opened the Hedge House in 2003, like in the fall. And then about a year or so after that, my good friend Cheryl Walkerhauser, who owns Pick's Patisserie, she used to be right next to us on Division. And she said, hey, I just found this building over on Williams Avenue. And I'm going to open up over there.
What was this before?
This was actually Scrap, which they do like recycled art supplies.
Okay.
And so that's what this was. And Pick's opened right next door. And so once really Cheryl came over here, we kind of signed papers about a week or 2 later.
Okay.
So we were kind of following her. And so we opened 5Q in the fall of 2005. We got the brewery going in the spring of 2006.
Okay. And that's where everything's made right
Everything
here.
is made over here.
Okay,
And we
right
used to
behind
brew.
us.
Yeah, we used to brew at the 23rd location until 2012, and then the building got torn down.
Oh, okay.
So that's a brand new building, kind of a
Oh,
brand
yeah,
new
okay,
space.
okay.
So it's totally different than it used to be.
Sure.
Some people like it. Some people don't like it.
I love it.
I like
For
it.
what it's worth.
It's not what the old place was, but kind of
Sure.
getting back to your question about Portland, it's like things kind of got to change and
you gotta
evolve. So
go with the times, or
that's right.
go out of business. Yeah.
So
okay.
so then in late 2006, we opened. Early 2006, right when we started brewing, we opened Oaks Bottom.
Okay.
And I had a different business partner down there, and he's not down there anymore. I got rid of him, bought him out, and that's kind of where we are.
Okay. So when you went into that round of golf, did you were you prepared? Like, was that the point of why you're golfing, just kind of came up?
Just came up.
Okay.
So there was these two guys, great guys, Pete Goforth, Bob Rice. Been in the business forever.
Okay.
And I played golf with them about every maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and somehow we were talking about beer, and somehow it just kind of came up, and they didn't feel like maybe they were making as much money as they could, or maybe I don't think they were super jazzed.
They didn't see the potential that you did.
Yeah, I think so. And so we just started kind of talking about it, and really, a couple hours later, we kind of had a basic deal in place. And then
did you leave that golf being like, what have I done? How do I come up with the money?
Pretty scared, yeah. I was probably 27.
Okay.
I think I had I either had a 1-year-old or my wife was pregnant. I really wasn't making any money, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
and
just kind of
scary, all details. So you just kind of figured all that stuff out.
So how'd you figure it out? You don't have to go into all the details, but how'd you come up with the money? How did you to figure this out?
I owned a little nightclub, or me and another guy owned a little nightclub over on Sandy. So I sold my half in that. So I got some money. Then I borrowed some money from my mom and dad, which wasn't a whole lot of money. I mean, it really wasn't very much. And then when I brought Don to the table, he brought in some more money.
Did you know him previously, or
not really? I mean, I knew who he was, and it took us, like I said, probably about. It depends on who tells the story, but Don's not here anymore.
Sure.
R.I.P. But so I'll tell my version of the story. So we kind of danced around for about 2 months. We had a couple of good 8-hour drinking sessions on whether we're going to do this, not do it. Kind of what the plan is.
Figure out who's
and in the end, we came up with some ideas that we thought would work out great.
Okay. That's so interesting. So fast forwarding to 2017, you guys have been in business, like you said, almost 21 years. We were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, but the craft beer scene is so competitive, especially in Portland.
Yeah.
Is there a secret of just longevity? How do you stay in business this long?
I'm still asking myself that question. How do we stay in business any longer? No, it's super competitive. There's a ton of breweries. Mm-hmm. It's hard to be the exciting, shiny new guy.
Right.
You don't want to sound like sour grapes. But it's tough to stay relevant, and I think that's true in any business. I think the craft beer scene, not only in Portland, in Oregon, or maybe even the whole on the West Coast.
Sure.
It's like any other business. There's going to be cycles. There's going to be ups, and there's going to be downs. And for the most part, the craft beer industry in Portland has been on an up for
ever, right?
Really, for about 27, 30 years.
Sure.
And it's really tough to stay relevant and be that shiny new kid. So that's why a lot of the guys are coming out. A lot of guys have been around for a while. You come out with new products, new packaging. You're just trying to stay relevant, and it'll just kind of be interesting to see where it goes. And I'm not saying the bubble is bursting or anything, but there's at some point we got to be saturated with kind of big breweries, and that doesn't mean that the brew pubs can't continue to grow and exist. Your neighborhood local, if you want to have a little brew pub and only brew maybe like a 3 to 5 barrel system, which really means you're only making 6 to 10 kegs at a time, you could easily sustain that.
Small,
and got that. I think there's a lot of room for growth in that. But I think a lot of the big production breweries and production facilities, I think maybe are going to slow down.
Sure. I guess it just depends on your business model and
Yeah.
business goals, really. How big are you guys from a barrel perspective?
We're pretty small.
Okay.
I think the biggest we ever were, and that was when we had both breweries, we got to about 33, maybe 3,400 barrels.
Okay.
The last 2 or 3 years, we've been around 2,800 barrels.
Okay.
And like I said, going down this year,
Sure.
we're probably going to be at 25 or 26.
Okay.
Just slowing down out there.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I think it's so fascinating, the scope and the size of the different breweries in Portland, and, the massive, Widmers or Bridgeports or, whatever, and then, guys much smaller than you.
That's where a lot of the growth is.
Yeah,
You know what
and
I mean?
those little small.
Yeah, there's a lot of smaller breweries that are only doing, between 300 and 600 barrels. And
Sure.
so there's definitely some room for growth for those
Yeah.
guys.
How would you describe Lompoc, and maybe you can lump all the locations together as a brewery? And what I mean by that is, some breweries have almost a kind of gimmicky sort of shtick that they do. What's your thing? We'll
I
call
would
it.
say our thing is really
people who
just
don't know you. How would you describe this is Lompoc? What you can expect from our beer and our whole environment?
I would say just good quality neighborhood pubs.
Okay.
Obviously we emphasize the beer, but we have good pub food really at all 4 or 5 locations. And it's really kind of a state of mind. When we were talking a little while ago,
Sure.
It kind of goes back to, I guess, maybe to the third place argument. There's work, there's
Right.
home, and then there's places you go to
Right.
relax, talk to your friends, your peers, whether you talk about, how can you get in a political conversation these days with anybody?
Oh boy.
But that's where you go and socialize.
Right.
And so
Right.
what I kind of think of Lompoc, it's a place to socialize.
Sure.
And have maybe a little social attitude adjustment.
Yeah.
Relax,
just
relax,
enjoy,
exactly.
Yeah, take your mind off of things. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I would say we are, and we have phenomenal beer. We have 5 or
That's very
6,
good.
I think, beers that we make year round, and the
Okay.
rest of the year, anytime between about 30 and maybe 45 different seasonals come out, and then when you
Okay.
throw all the barrel aging and beers that get blended in sours, there's probably another
Sure.
10 or 15 on top of that.
Is that is there stuff in here right now being
yes,
aged? Okay.
Yep. All these barrels are full.
That's kind of fun.
It's kind of fun, exciting. There's some wine barrels over there. There's some bourbon barrels.
Sorry, you guys can't see this, but it's pretty fascinating to see, or just to think. How long will that be in there? Another year?
That one over
months?
there has been in there since
July
Well, that one's from
2016.
January 2017.
Okay.
So that other one that was in there for about 7 months.
Okay.
So anywhere
Interesting.
between really 3 to 4 months to 3 or 4 years. Just
Okay.
kind of depends.
Sure. Do you think, and maybe it changes depending on the location, but do you think you guys are more of, I guess all breweries in Portland are kind of a destination tourist stop, but would you say you would say you're more of that neighborhood, like people kind of walk here from where they live versus,
I think for the most part,
like on a tour bus stop?
It's kind of changed a little bit just because
Yeah.
all the neighborhoods are changing with all the development and construction and growth that's going on in Portland. Like here in Williams, we're kind of used to be a destination place.
Sure.
Because it was us and like 3 or 4 bars over here on Williams. And, well, now there's a lot more restaurants, a couple more tap bars. We have another brewery right next door to us and a couple breweries 2 to 3 blocks away. So we definitely see some tourism and some pub crawls. But I think most of our business really just stems from the neighborhood, probably within a mile or two, whether
Sure.
they walk or drive or bike on over.
Come here to hang out.
Yep.
And, yeah.
I think it's pretty much just local.
Yeah. Every time I've been in this location, it definitely seems those are the folks here. It's just kind of like, hey, we're just coming for dinner, or like you said, to ease our worries of life, or whatever it is. The Northwest 23rd seems to be a little more. Maybe it's just because of the area.
That area is really changing a lot
Yeah,
as well.
a lot.
With the whole kind of consolidated freightways, reconstruction going on down there. A lot of the jobs have left over there, really in that neighborhood in the last year and a half. And obviously some more jobs are coming.
Right.
There's going to be a lot more apartments. There's also going to be a lot more restaurants. So that whole end of the street is just kind of changing a little bit. So
Continues
hopefully we have to change with it.
to evolve. Yeah. Well, that's a good segue. Speaking of change, I'm curious, when we were talking a little bit at the beginning about this, but how have you seen the beer industry change in the almost 21 years that you have been doing it? I mean, obviously there's a lot more and different variety, but Is there anything else just in attitudes or the way people are enjoying and appreciating beer?
No, I don't think
time?
so. I think most of the guys, I don't really know a whole lot of the newer, younger guys because it seems like there's always seems to be a new brewery opening. But I think everybody still has a pretty good, positive attitude about we're all in this together.
Sure.
And we're trying to grow the industry, just not grow my own personal brand.
Right.
Some of the marketing guys might not agree with that, but most of the brewers would. You know, everybody's pretty friendly, pretty cordial. I know when I first started, the guys at Bridgeport were helping us out. They were right down the street. Some guys at McMinimums were helping us out. Guys at Lucky Lab were helping us out, and they were really just starting as well.
Right.
So everybody was kind of helping everybody, and if you had a problem, it was really easy to just call somebody up and be like, "Hey, I don't really know about this situation. What should I do here?
How do I handle this? Yeah.
Yeah. What do I do? Or hey, where can I get this certain kind of a piece of equipment, or who would fabricate this?" And I still think it's that way. I think a lot of people still help everybody.
Yeah. This is only we're in our second year doing the running series. And that's definitely my sense, is that everybody's in this together. Everybody wants to help each other out. And there's a sense of, kind of like a rising tide raises all ships. So
that's right.
If you succeed, I succeed, they succeed, and we all help each other out together. So I don't think that's true of most industries.
I think a lot of industries that's not true.
Yeah. It's just cool to see that. In Portland,
that's kind of Portland.
Yeah, I was going to say, why do you think
small
that
town.
is? Is
I
it
think
Portland?
small town.
Is it, okay.
I think small town has something to do with it. It's getting bigger. I think the mere fact that we have such great accessibility to all the ingredients. Hops are grown, 40 miles one way, 100 miles the other way.
Too, when you just think about at a global scale of kind of what Portland represents. Globally in the beer world, for all those reasons that you mentioned. So,
and it's beer.
Yeah, that's true.
It's beer.
People like beer.
People do like beer,
Yeah,
and when you're talking about beer, you usually end up drinking beer, and then when you're drinking beer, you're pretty much getting along with everybody, or at least let's hope you're getting along with everybody.
Right.
And it just adds to a nice positive attitude.
Well, and part of the reason that we started the Oregon Brewery Running Series. Because me and Drew, the buddy, co-founder, I guess you call him, it's like, our two favorite things in life are, working out, running with people, and sitting around having a beer. And you bring those two things together, and it's perhaps the most conversational. It's just such a fun environment.
Are you a drinker with a running problem, or a running person with a drinking problem?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm definitely a runner. And I enjoy beer.
Priorities.
So, yeah.
Priorities,
I'm trying, yeah. And I'm learning. It's funny. You've been brewing beer, been in the beer industry longer than I've been able to drink it, which is kind of fun. So I'm curious if you could go back to, I think you said you were 26, 27 when you started. What would you do differently now? If you knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently back then?
Bought more property.
Really?
Yeah.
I suppose.
That has really nothing to do with beer. That has business side on it. No, I don't think much of anything.
From a beer. Okay.
I think on the beer side of things, I think the evolution and the styles that have been, the styles have always been there for the most part. We're just kind of tweaking them a little bit, or adding more ingredients or natural ingredients or fruits. I think people are just experiencing a lot more. And I don't really know what the next kind of turn on the road is for beers. For a long time it was IPAs, and then it was double IPA. Well, really, it was probably double IPAs, and then we kind of slowly morphed down into like sessionable pale ales or sessionable lagers, and then the last really 2 or 3 years, it's kind of been a lot of lagers and sours and Belgian style. So and those are actually pretty sessionable as well. So. I don't know what the next area is going to be,
the next wave is,
but I'm sure we've already done it.
It's all kind of this. It's like fashion, right?
Exactly.
It all
just kind of comes around with a new twist.
Yeah, I was talking to John Harris last week over at Ecliptic, and he made a comment of some of our best-selling beers now are stuff that we'd have thrown away 20 years ago, just because its taste evolved. Some of the sours and stuff I think he was talking about. Have you seen any change in that regard of like, wow, I never thought that this type or style would be so popular because it wasn't 10, 15, 20 years ago?
Yeah, I would probably say a lot of the sour or like a beer I like, Geese. It's kind of, it smells and tastes like horse blanket. I mean, that's not really
what is it called? A Geese?
Geese.
Okay.
It's not.
Is that a sour?
It's a sour.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't really smell appealing, but it's something I've always liked. I've always liked it, and that style. Like if you would ask me 15 years ago, if there'd be one or two breweries that solely make sours, and this is the style they're making a lot of, I'd be like, good luck.
Like that's not going to happen.
Not happening. And there's several breweries like that, and just not in Portland. I mean, all over the country, sours are really blowing up. So
is that? I always like to ask people I have these conversations, like what their favorite beer is to drink. Is that
the one in my hand?
The one in your hand.
No, that's the bad answer. No,
that's a good answer. It's a hard question to answer.
I totally evolve.
Okay.
I would say like one of our flagship beers, C Note. When we first made it in like 2002, it was a double IPA. It was 8.5%.
Okay.
I could maybe drink one or two of them, and not only I'm a brewer. I'm also a publican, and I'm also a consumer when I go out.
Which is a term I just learned. A publican is a runner of pubs. Yeah,
that's right. And you want people to have a good time, but you also want them to spend as much money as you can.
Yeah.
And I know as a brewer, as a consumer, and a publican, for about the first 3 or 4 times we made C Note at 8.5%, it was like, I can't have 3 of these things in the daytime. It's just not working.
You're laying down, taking a nap.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't working. So, we toned it down to around 7%, which at the time was still pretty big.
Sure.
And now a beer like C Note comes across as kind of just a well-balanced, older IPA.
Sure.
And now like the big juicy IPAs are kind of all the rage, which are nice. But to be quite honest, as long as I've been drinking super bitter beer, I kind of get heartburn now if I drink too much bitter beer. So for me, my own personal taste have evolved. I still always like a nice crisp kind of lager, and a lot of the pale ales are nice. I've totally been enjoying the Lompoc for the last. Yeah. It's only been out for like 2 weeks, and I think I've had my fair share.
It's good.
And your glass is empty.
I know. I was just while you were talking, I was like, this is good. Do you have I see your list up there. Do you have 3? So our event here is on May 27th. Is there like maybe 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 other beers that you think, when you're here for our event on May 27th, you got to try these because this is maybe again 1 or 2 or 3 beers that are like the quintessential Lompoc beer. In addition to the Lompoc.
I think I can come up with a couple. Here in Sidebar, we always have different stuff on.
I guess
so I'm trying to figure out like what's going to be on. And I know, I think around May, so we're doing this series right now called, we kind of do rotator IPAs. So I always come up with a different series. So currently we're doing Kung Fu IPA series. So right now we have on the 5 Hops of Death. And
that's awesome. Where'd that come from?
So that's from the 5 Fingers of Death, which is a movie from the 70s.
But I mean, are you a Kung Fu movie fan or just?
No, we just kind of pick themes. Like I think the next theme after this one will be punk rock. We've done baseball. We've done football. We've done science fiction. We've done action hero. We've done James Bond.
That's really fun.
So it's there's so many different beers and there's so many different names out there that it's a little more fun just to kind of pick a theme, and then the names flow. And most of these beers are kind of one-off beers. Sure.
Do you guys just sit around a big table like that with a beer and just like, all right, who's got a name for this one?
No. Actually, the way the way these IPA series works is we let just about anyone. I mean, we let regulars do it. We let beer writers do it. Maybe if you want to do it, you guys can do it.
Sure.
But basically, you come in, and we'll let you kind of pick out the hops, and you say what kind of beer you want to do.
Oh, I would totally take you up on that.
And we'll make the beer, and we let you come up with the name.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. Like we had a friend of ours, a gal named Marie, who's from Sweden, who's kind of worked in the beer industry. Has been in Portland for about a year. She just did Hoppy Tiger, Bitter Dragon, obviously for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah.
It was a phenomenal beer, and we usually don't do like repeats, but we that beer was so popular, it was gone so fast. We're going to brew that one more time. So
Fun.
that might be on, and we'll probably have, I think, the 36th chamber of hops, which comes from the 36th chamber of Shaolin, which is a very popular
Never
Kung
heard
Fu
of that,
movie.
but okay.
And the reason I say that, I think that'll be available because I think we have Kung Fu movie night.
Oh, sweet.
Like 2 to 3 days before the run.
That's awesome.
So we'll have, I know we'll have the 5 Fingers of Death, or 5 Fingers of Hops, and we'll have the 36 Chamber, which we don't have.
Sure.
But we do have the 5 Hops of Death right now, which I must say is really good.
That
we should try that. Lompoc,
yes,
which is kind of a new one. And any of the sours. We almost always have sours, and I know I used to run a fair amount, not maybe as much as you do or as much as I'd like to say I do. So I don't know if after doing a 3-mile run and then having some breakfast, a sour would be great. But maybe you had some breakfast and paired it up with one of our sours.
Okay.
Which at the time, who knows what we'll have? But one of my favorites is Peachy Keen.
Ooh.
So maybe you and I should try some Peachy Keen.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, I would say the 5 Hops of Death. Do you want me to go grab those, or
why not? Sure.
Well, we can make that happen.
We can make that happen.
There's editing, right?
Here. Sure, we can edit this. So this is the peach. I'm sorry, this is the peach.
This is the Peachy Keen.
Peachy Keen.
So we brewed this in 2014, and this is actually a blend of a couple different beers.
All right.
And this is a super smooth, easy drinking beer. It's a sour.
Good. Okay.
It smells phenomenal. So we got all our peaches from Hood River.
Okay. Amazing. What orchard?
I think in 14, Mountain View. And I say that because I spent a lot of time in Hood River. And so Mountain View is up in Parkdale.
Okay.
So if you know where the brew pub is in Parkdale, which is called Solara, it's about a mile and a half to the west of basically the brew pub.
Okay.
And so that's where we got the peaches from.
Awesome.
And
all right, let's check.
So this is a great beer to have either in the morning or with breakfast, mid-afternoon.
Evening, nighttime.
Well, that's almost any beer.
Exactly.
Cheers.
Right. Cheers.
I got the wrong one.
That is good. Well, whatever it is, it's good. So this may or may not be the Peachy Keen.
No. You have the Peachy Keen. Is it sour?
It is sour, yes.
Yeah, I got the right one.
Okay.
I don't know what I did.
That's all right.
Live TV. I screwed that one up, too.
That's all right. It's still good, the Peachy Keen. The sour beers is definitely something that I didn't... not that I'm...
And this isn't overly sour.
No, well, that's what I was just going to say. It's something I do enjoy sour beers.
It's very subtle.
I really like this
So
one,
it's
too.
kind of funny. Some of the guys, when they make sours, really are into 7.5%, 8%, 9% or higher beers that they'll sour. And, whether they're adding, fruit or whatever.
Sure.
Sometimes some of the bigger beers kind of upset my stomach. So
Yeah,
we try to do a lot of the sours that are in like the 5 to 7 range.
Okay.
And make them...
What is this one?
This one's 5.2.
Okay.
And we try to just make them super drinkable.
Yeah.
So basically what this beer was, it's our golden ale, Fool's Golden, that we fermented in some barrels with some cherries, and then we added kind of another beer to it, a sour beer, like a base.
Sure.
And we just blended it out, and we came up with Peachy Keen.
It's good.
It's phenomenal.
It's really good.
Kind of like, I don't know, peaches and cornflakes, and but a little sour hint to it.
A little cornflakes. Yeah. Taste them again for the first time.
That's right.
It's good. I love it.
So the other one I brought over, which I was drinking out of both of them. I don't have a disease.
That's fine. I appreciate it.
Actually, I brought Lompoc back.
Oh, is that this one?
Yeah, I brought the Lompoc. That's why I was like, hey, wait a minute. This tastes just like the beer. Wait.
Well, it was really good. Do you have a way to taste beer, by the way?
What do you mean?
Like, you know how wine, there's a swirling, there's a sniffing, there's all that stuff?
Yeah, you should always kind of swirl it.
Okay.
It's best in a glass like this that kind of forces all the aroma up to a point.
Okay.
So then you can smell it, and usually you should be able to get like, the Lompoc not super hot, but you should get a nice aroma hit. You should also get kind of a malt hit, and you should be able to kind of almost smell the yeast strain. At least I've been able to, over the years, to figure that one out.
Train yourself.
So so you kind of swirl it a little bit, and what you're doing when you swirl it is, when you swirl it like that, the head gets released.
Yep.
So the CO2 will release a lot of the aromatics in the beer, whether it be hops or the malt or the yeast. So you'll get the total aroma coming out of the CO2.
Okay.
So that's why, like, in beer, the smell is half your flavor threshold.
Right.
So
right.
like you'll smell it before you taste it.
And this is the Lompoc again, right?
Yeah. You have the Lompoc. I'm still with the Peachy Keen, which is phenomenal. Which I'm super excited about. Way to ruin my workout.
Sorry. Well, that's my last question for you. So that's a good segue. So we're at the Oregon Brew Running Series. We're all about being active, having fun, giving back.
Do you want me to run?
Do you? Well, actually, we'd love it for you to run. But I was just going to ask you, what are your, what do you do to be active, kind of outside of?
I play a lot of soccer.
Okay.
One of the rules, and you never trust a skinny brewer, which I'm really not that skinny. But
well, you're not that large.
No, I'm not. I play a lot of soccer, usually 2 or 3 times a week.
That's great. You play on a team or just pick up games?
We sponsor a couple of different teams.
Oh, cool.
We have a couple indoor teams, a couple futsal teams. And I just kind of play when and wherever my schedule dictates. And I prefer to play outdoor, to be quite honest.
Sure. Don't we all?
So much fun. But, I don't know.
That's cool.
Can't always play. And I try not to run a whole lot just because as I get older, my knees seem to hurt a little bit more. And so do whatever. This first year I missed out on the Shamrock Run, I think in 17 years.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I had a really good streak going. But
what distance, the 15?
Oh, no. No, I just do the 5K, dude.
Okay. That's still.
5K, hit Kells, have about 4 beers, and, it's noon, and I feel great.
Wake up in the afternoon.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's good. That's good.
So that's about what I do. Obviously, I like to hike and do some other stuff.
Sure.
But soccer, which has a lot to do with running. When I was younger and I played soccer, I actually did a lot of running. Used to do Hood Coast all the time.
Oh, very cool. I've not done that yet, which is on my list.
Do it with a fun team and drink some beer.
That's what I've heard. It all depends on the team and the band setup and all that stuff.
Yeah. So never been too competitive, but been on a couple decent. When I say decent teams, I mean like 7-8 minute mile teams, which
that's pretty
which
good.
is pretty respectable
for a hood to coast.
For a hood to coast team, guys all drinking beer or gals all drinking beer. Not a bad scenario. But then I've been on other teams where you average like 10 minutes a mile. And
what's more fun for you?
You know what? Probably when I was younger and it was faster and you were drinking and my body could handle it. But sleeping in a van.
Yes.
I did it a couple years ago, and it was the last time I did it. Was 95.
Oh, okay. So
and then I did it in 2015, so I did it 20 years later.
Okay.
So I just did it 2 years ago.
Okay.
And it just wasn't as easy to bounce back.
Sure.
And the beers tasted good, but boy, my body didn't feel nearly as good after the fact.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun. We gave everybody on our team, I printed out, every leg got a bottle of beer. So everybody, I don't know, it was kind of a cool deal.
Did they have to drink it while they were running?
No, a 22-ounce bomber would not go well.
Put it in a water bottle.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Camelback or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
That's
cool. I don't know, but that's about what I do, and still
awesome.
like to drink beer, and
hey,
that's all I got.
That's good. I think
maybe I'll run.
Okay. Well, maybe you should. We've done no pressure, but 2 of the breweries we've been at, we've done this little competition. Where we've done it a couple ways. So you can either guess the brewer's time, and then if you get it, you get some prize. Or at Portland Cider, so not a brewery technically, if you beat Jeff, the head cider maker there, you got an extra pint.
Is he a runner?
Well, so he was back in the day. He grew up in Eugene, Tracktown, USA. He did pretty well, but there wasn't that many people who beat him.
What did he average? What was his time?
You know what? I don't even know. It's probably 21 minutes, something.
That's pretty good.
Something in there, 22, something like that. We don't time our events, so that's the beautiful thing about it.
So all you have to do is just come in
and enjoy. Yeah.
So I'm gonna say I'm you.
Okay.
You can shave your head that day, and
okay, all right. No competition.
You just come in first. And I can just dog it a little bit.
Okay. There we go. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I thought you meant
no.
If you beat me, I shave my head.
We'll just give you the T-shirt that says you're Jerry Fechter, Lompoc Brewing.
I can do that. I can try to grow. Yeah. So okay, cool. Yeah. Well, Jerry, thanks so much for chatting. This was awesome. This was
good
fun.
stuff.
Yeah, appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you guys on May 27th. And again, use code Lompoc free. First 5 people get a free entry, or Lompoc 5 to get $5 off. And if you're not already following us on Facebook, do it, because we do, well, a lot of these great conversations, and we have a lot of fun promos and other things. So, Jerry, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Love the brew.
Cheers.
The beer. I'm going to get up, walk around, and turn that thing off now. So for the next 5 or so seconds, it'll still be live. So just, don't drop any F-bombs.
Doobie doobie doo.